Guys? Gannon here with Team Prodigy and Wander Disc Golf. I'm going to be bringing you guys an In the Bag today. Starting with putting putters, I putt with a 350 GPA3. These are really stiff, and this is a little bit of a domier run, flatter run, so I get a little bit more glide and a clean release from these. I like to have the bead because I put the crease of my finger on the bead, and I get a lot of snap on it and a clean putt. For throwing putters, I have 4 in my bag. This is a 200 PA3. I use this for tiny hyzer flips in the woods that hold right the whole way. I also like the bead because when I fan grip, I put my crease of my finger on the bead just like I do when I putt. But yeah, it's super controllable. I like the floppiness, the softness of this plastic, and gets really good grip in hot conditions. This is my 200 PA4. It's super soft, really grippy, great in humid conditions. I like to throw this one on big hyzer flip lines that fly through the woods, little hyzer up to flat, and hold the entire way. Really love this disc, and it's super useful. I have 2 more throwing putters in my bag. I have a 750 PA4 and a 400 Glow PA3. The 750 PA4 is really stiff, which I like in hot conditions. Doesn't lose its shape when you're throwing, but I throw this one pretty hard on a little bit of hyzer line, and then it flips up to flat in a soft turn. The other 200 PA4 has a little bit more turn than that, and the feel's a little bit different depending on the wind. This one holds wind a little bit better than that, so I'll pull this out whenever I need a little less flip than that PA4. Then I have a 400 Glow PA3. This one is really stable, surprisingly. It has a little bit of dome, and the grippiness is really good. It's pretty gummy too, which I like. And I like to throw this one really hard, really flat, and it just goes left the entire way. It's not a hard dump because it is a PA3, but it's a smooth, gentle fade left. This is my 400A2. I throw this one for really overstable shots. It's super predictable, and any wind, no matter what, this thing's dumping hard left or hard right depending on if I throw backhand or forehand. So I throw this with Annie, and then in like a wood shot where I need to go left to right, back to left really hard, and it's just super consistent. I feel like everyone needs to have one of these in their bag. This is my 400 Proto M1. This one is super flat, so I get a really good feel in my hand. I like having a flat disc in a mid-range or a putter, but this one I throw hard. It's kind of like the 400 Glow PA3, but it's a little more stable and it has a harder finish because it is mid-range and it's an M1. So it's a little bit of a faster mid-range too. The edge is pretty sharp. I throw a hard, flat, even some Annie if I need a flex, and a smooth fade and a hard fade at the very end of its flight. This is a 400 Proto M2. This also is very flat, super gummy, just like that 400 M1. But this one, I throw hard, flat. This is pretty much exactly like the 400 Glow PA3 in the mid-range. A little bit more distance. I like the feel of this a little bit better. There's no bead on it, and I like throwing shots with this. The last 2 mid-ranges in my bag are both 400 GM4s. This one's really flat. It's an X out. It's pretty flippy. I like throwing this in the woods a lot because it's really controllable for how flippy that it is. Lots of hyzer, flip up to flat, and even get a tiny bit of turn if I throw with a lot of hyzer. If I throw it flat though, I get a nice turn the whole entire flight, which I really like. This other 400 GM4 has a little bit of dome. I've never really seen many domey M4s at all, but this one is. And I've had this in my bag for about 1.5 years now, and it's kept its stability the entire time because of the premium plastic. So it does really hard, really flat, slight turn the entire way, and I get this up to distance with my fairway drivers and even sometimes my distance drivers. It has so much glide, and it's super straight, and it's super reliable. I have 2 fairway drivers in my bag. I have a 400 F3. This one is pretty straight, has a little bit of hyzer flip to it, a little bit of turn, and then a hard fade at the end. And just woods disc, straight shot in the woods, this is what I'm pulling out. Then I have a 400G F7. It's kind of like the F3, but I get a little bit more flip and more hold to it. This one's a little domier, so it holds a line better, and the grip on it's really good. I have 3 hybrid drivers in my bag. I have a 400 H1 V2. This one is a rare Domi run. I haven't really seen many Domi runs of them, but it has really good grip to it in the 400 plastic, pretty gummy, and I throw it hard, flat, and a pretty hard fit at the end, but it goes straight for most of its flight and then it fades hard at the end. This is my 750 Will Schustrik H3 V2, and this is probably one of my favorite discs in my bag. For how fast that this disc is, it doesn't have much fade at the end of its flight, especially when this has been beat in for about a year now. So I throw it really hard, flat, just a tiny bit of turn, maybe not though, depending on how hard I throw it, and then it finishes with a super soft hyzer at the very end of its flight. So it's really predictable in the woods, and if I need a long wood shot, this is probably what I may be pulling out about 90% of the time. And then this is a 400 H4 V2, a little flippier than the H3 V2. This has a harder turn and then a harder fade. So it's good for shot shaping in the woods, and the feel of it's really good. It's a really simple profile to it, and I also like it for a forehand shot. I have a 750 X1 in my bag. This is a pretty rare disc. Thank you to Jesse Henderson for giving this one to me. And this one is really flat. All X1s are super flat. This is a Proto one specifically, in the 750. And I throw it, like, this is probably the most overstable disc I've ever thrown. Like, you throw it on a Sky Annie, and it's always coming back hard. So, really predictable in the woods, any shot. I don't pull it out that often, but when I do, it's really helpful. I only have one D1 in my bag. It is a 400S, so it's a pretty early run of them. This one has a little bit of dome to them, and it's actually a 167. That's just what this run came out to be. It's a very popular run of D1, but I throw this one really hard, super flat, even some turn, and it's coming back hard like the X1, but I get a lot more distance out of this because it has a little bit of a smoother fade. It's kind of like comparable to the PA3. Out of my hand, it's already hyzer. That's what I love about it. It's really consistent even in wind for it being a little bit of a lighter weight disc, and I get a little bit more glide and distance out of this. I have 4 D2s in my bag. A 400, a 400G, a 450, and a 750G. So this 400 D2, it's a Spectrum Jomas Pro version. A little bit of a flatter run. It's also a bit of a flippier run. So I throw this with a little bit of hyzer sidearm, flips up to flat, and then kind of has a smooth fade to it. And on backhand lines, I don't throw much backhand because I don't like the feel of a backhand shot with this, but when I do, I throw little hyzer flips. I like this one in the woods. Pretty controllable for some reason. I don't know, but it's really controllable. I hyzer flip it to flat, and I get some fade again. This is my 400G D2. This one has a little bit more dome to it, as you can see, and it has a lot more grippiness to it. I also like this for sidearms because I feel like I get good pop out of it, but this is decently flippy. It's kind of like that one, but when I throw it backhand, it holds the line the entire way without fade, which is really amazing for a distance driver. Thank you to Harper Thompson for giving me this one when I lost my one at Worlds, so really appreciate that. This is my 450 D2. Has really good grip, and I like this one for sidearms. I have a little bit more fade to it, and I also like it for backhand shots. I throw really hard, get a tiny bit of turn out of it, and a little bit of a harder fade than that 400 D2. I have a 750G D2. This is my farthest flying disc in my bag. It's that perfect shape for a distance driver to get that max distance. Not too flat, not too domey. It's like a really good glide. It's pretty similar to the 400G. I like this one a little hotter conditions. It holds the turnover more and then gets a little fade. My last 2 discs in my bag are a 400 D3. People say this is a D1 just because this does not fly like a D3. This is pretty much an X1. It's between my 400 SD1 and my X1. It has really late fade because it is a D3, but this run came out really flat and really overstable. So I throw lots of Annie or just flat, and it finishes left every single time. It's really predictable in wind. This is a 173. Thank you to Dutch Napier for giving this to me at Junior Worlds. Really appreciate that. This is my 750G D4. This one is really flippy, but I love it in the woods. It's super controllable. This is definitely my woods driver. Hyzer flips to flat to turn. that hold, because this is super domey and it's really stiff, so it's good in hot conditions. Thing I like about this a lot is that when you want to throw a driver in the woods, but you don't want that driver to fade out at the end, this is not going to fade out. This is the exact disc that you want. So, really recommend it. Accessories I have a Rubik's Cube for backups. It's actually really helpful because on the course, sometimes you'll get big backups, and this is really helpful. Really love this. Passes the time. I have towels, snacks, water, my phone, and minis and sports sacks. This is a sports sack with my logo on it. My hands are really sweaty, so I like to have a dusty hand, I guess, dry hand. And I even use it in the winter just for the feel. The bag that I'm using, this is a Prodigy BP1V2. This is a pretty cheap price comparing to other bags on the market. It's really sturdy, can hold up to 38 discs. I don't carry that many, but it's great to have extra storage on the sides. And that's my in the bag video. I appreciate you guys watching, and go check some of these discs out.